Today is December 7th, 2018, and we're live from the Seneca Falls-based FingerLakes1.com studio. So welcome to The Loving Cup, Elevate Your Gratitude. I'm your host, Katie MacIntyre, and I'm excited to welcome our guests today. We have two women from Auburn, mother and daughter, Melina Carnicelli and her daughter, Regina. So welcome, ladies.
Thank you.
I'm glad that you're here. So let's jump right in and talk about gratitude. I'd like you to introduce the other. So Melina, if you could start and introduce us to your daughter.
Oh, I'd be happy to. This is my wonderful, lovely daughter, Regina Margaret Carnicelli, and she is one of the loves of my life, and I'm very grateful to be here and to have invited her to accompany me.
Beautiful. And would you introduce us to your mom?
Sure. This is Melina Carnicelli, my mother, who is a little bit of everything. So, I don't know. And also my heart. So, I'm grateful for her.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Beautiful. Well, welcome, ladies. So let's talk about something that you're most grateful for in the past year. And either one of you can go first.
Oh, gosh. Do you want to go first?
Sure.
Okay.
I guess this past year I'm grateful that we have found a new location for my daycare center. We were in a situation where we weren't sure what we were going to do, and we provide, care for 55 children, and that's very important to me and my staff. And it was a very difficult process, and it was a lot of hard work and determination and just a lot of pieces that came together, but that's really what my whole last year was spent focusing on, and so that's where all my energy, time, and went. And now we're up and running and everything is great and the kids are happy, and so that's what makes my heart happy. So
Beautiful.
Yeah,
that's important.
Yeah, it's very important. So
Oh, and what am I grateful for this past year? I basically don't have one simple answer for that. I'm grateful to be on the planet in the situation that I'm in. I'm grateful. I'm basically grateful always for really enjoying people and loving people. That, of course, my family and friends and acquaintances and the new people that I meet each year. So I'm continuously pleased and happy with all of that. I truly am grateful for the new things in my life this year, and among those are the new folks that have entered into my space, or I've entered into their space.
Beautiful. Good. How about your whole life? Is there something that bubbles to the top for your whole life?
I'll start. Well, in my whole life, I am, again, the basic things, my family, loving friends, loving acquaintances, colleagues, and the work that I'm able to do. I had about a 9 or 10 year period in my life where I dealt with health issues. So I was in and out of the hospital for almost 10 years. And I can remember going through that, and after that seemed to be over, the overwhelming feeling that I had was how grateful I am to feel well and healthy and have that part of my life sort of behind me, but grateful for the experience because there were incredible outcomes as a result of that. But in my whole life, I certainly am grateful for having gone through that. At the time, my parents were still living, so having gone through all of that and come out the other side really is something that I can look back on and think, wow. As difficult as that was, I'm grateful to have gone through it and be on the other side of it and reflect back and think, well, now everything in my life, not everything, but most everything in my life feels like lagniappe. You know lagniappe? Do you know the word lagniappe?
So explain it.
Okay, you know the word lagniappe. Lagniappe is a Cajun. It's a French Cajun term that means a little extra, unexpectedly. That's wonderful. So that's kind of how I feel about life.
Okay. Hopefully our listeners are going to use that word. It's a great word.
Lagniappe.
Lagniappe. Yeah, that's a great word.
That is a good one.
How about for you, Regina?
I don't know. I guess for me, it's always been family. It's just, we have a wonderful support system. Our immediate family and our extended family. We've always been blessed with, being surrounded with wonderful people. And that's, it always comes back to family and who you love and who you're around. So, in a simple answer, but that's the truth.
And do you have siblings?
I do. I have an older brother and a sister-in-law who is my sister, and a niece and a nephew. And so we spend every Sunday together. We have Sunday dinners, which is always important. The kids all look forward to it, and just a big, loud house where we get to check in every week. And as I get older, I realize that that's not what everyone else has.
No,
and in fact, it's kind of rare. We don't, we're not shuffling back and forth, or we're not going months without speaking to each other, or so this is our normal. And and I notice that others want to be in our normal because it's so uncommon for them. So, and I think you and I have both brought, people in who maybe haven't always had that. So it's, it's always, someone was always coming for dinner, whether it was, somebody we met at the grocery store, or, somebody we ran into, at some event that she was hosting, or, somebody's, my whole life was like that. So.
That's great.
Yeah.
Well, you travel a lot.
Yes, yeah. Just a couple things. A funny story. One time when my son, Regina's brother, when he was very young, two of my girlfriends, myself, and their two sons, and my son, we took the kids to one of the parks out in the western part of the state, and we had to stand in line to get into the park, and there was this young couple, a new husband and wife, in front of us or behind us, and we had to wait. Anyway, long story short, we talked. We went out to dinner with them, and they were from New Jersey, but instead of going home, they came to my house and stayed at the house. My husband, at the time, he was working out of town. He came home in the middle of the night, and there was this strange man sleeping on the couch, and his name was Bob. Mm-hmm. So anyway, Bob and Rayanne were their names, and this was 40 years ago. Just stayed at our house for about a week, and it was their honeymoon.
Oh, wow.
So that's one of the stories. Yeah, that was in Auburn. So, like I said, people in general. I mean, I'm always fascinated by people and what they do and what they don't do, what they accomplish, and all that kind of thing. So it's always fun to meet new people and to bring new people into our life. Mm-hmm. And I need to comment about, if you don't mind, Regina's comment about family. She's my daughter, so this is very, very personal, but swayed one way. And I find her to be one of the most fascinating, wonderful people on the planet, and I am very, very grateful that Regina is in our family life. Regina was adopted into our family when she was 6 days old. Our son was 11 years old, and we didn't think we were going to have an expanded family until Regina came home. So
awesome.
One of the most highlights of my life was Regina into our family. Yeah. So that's a pretty big highlight.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I love it. So let's have each of you share what you're most grateful for in the other. I think it's a perfect segue. So.
Oh, in the other. Regina has a lot of wonderful traits. The regular kind of normal growing up, which weren't so wonderful, traits, but those were just all parts of the growing up. Regina is absolutely one of the most kind, considerate, helpful persons that I know, and skilled, very skilled. She just approaches everything with such confidence. Especially new kinds of tasks or new learning. She's not afraid to be out there and at least try if something's new. She always takes my phone call when I don't know how to do the clicker on the TV. She'll tell you about that. I'm very grateful about that, and she makes fun of me on that, but sometimes I can't get the TV to turn off. So late at night I have to call her, and she still takes my phone calls.
What a good dog.
Regina has become a wonderful cook, taking after her father.
And my mother.
Well, that's kind of a late blooming thing, but and you're really a great friend, a wonderful friend, and a teacher and a magnificent daughter and friend to me. So I'm just grateful you love me so much.
Oh, boy. Well, all that I am is because all of that she taught me. So watching you, I'm going to cry. Watching you as a young person, you could do anything. So you started your own business, you ran for mayor, you travel, you're busier now than you were when you were working. Okay. I think you're always somewhere in a meeting, always helping others. And Luke, my brother, and I both have that instilled in us to be good people because of our mother and our father. Yeah. He's a good guy too.
No, that's great.
Yeah. So.
I mean, Melina, I've gotten the chance to know Melina from Women March, which hopefully we're going to talk about that in a little bit. But you bring people together, and I think you have the skill to tease out the best capabilities and skills and possibilities in people, that everyone rises together. I think that's just this magic power you have. It's really cool to watch and be a part of.
Oh, wow. Thank you. Magic power. I don't know as it's magical, but part of my deep core belief is that everyone is worthy. Everyone is worthy, whether we like their behavior or not. Everyone is worthy, and everyone has something that they can contribute, or if they want to contribute, even if those folks who don't want to be active still are worthy. Oftentimes silence is a worthy piece of any kind of puzzle or any kind of work. So I do really love doing that, bringing people together, especially for a common cause. And then if we want to really talk about activism type things, that's really kind of what's in my heart and my mind to be accomplishing these days.
Well, you've never been afraid to do the right thing, even in a different time. Your entire life, you've lived by example. And I think people look at you and see what you do and say, well, I can, feel comfortable in doing something or saying something or participating in something.
Yeah, and you know what? When we exhibit behaviors that are aligned with our true, authentic self, there's no other way for it to manifest.
True.
It's it's correct.
Mm-hmm.
It's correct, and it's recognized that way. I mean, people may not connect up with that particular correctness, but when I've always operated from that place of authenticity, it just brings out the authenticity in everyone else who's wanting to connect up. So
It's pretty awesome.
yeah. That's magical. I think that's the magical part,
Yeah.
but it's because it's collaborative and it's respectful and honoring. I did grow up with the word respect, and that's just what it is, being respectful.
So can you talk about your careers and some of the things that you've done in life and how gratitude has been a part of that?
Yes. You want to start?
Go ahead.
Well, career-wise, I started out in my professional career as a classroom teacher. So I went to school and became a certified classroom teacher. And both of my kids, as they were growing up, said, never going to be a teacher. I am never going to be a teacher, out of her mouth. My son, I am never going to be a teacher, out of his mouth. Guess what?
They're teachers.
My son is a high school principal and been a teacher his whole career. And Regina has been a teacher her whole career, opposite ends of the age spectrum for kids. But so I started out that way as a classroom teacher. And I came up in the 60s in high school, so I didn't know I wanted to be a teacher. I knew I wanted to be an accountant. I was a math person. I loved numbers and all the math stuff. So when I went to my guidance counselor in 11th grade, I think it was, I told him what I wanted to do, and he said, "Oh, no, you can choose to be a nurse or a teacher." I said, "What?" "Oh," I said, "I can't be a nurse. I know I can't be a nurse." So I became a math teacher. So actually that has accrued beautifully for me. So I think as much as I've disparaged that man for discouraging me and not recognizing that girls could do what they wanted to do in those days, right? I am grateful to him because as a feminist activist now,
He fueled you.
he absolutely did, because I can still see myself as a 16-year-old sitting there thinking, swearing in my own mind to that man, thinking, but then having to go along with it, So anyway, I am grateful to him for moving me forward.
Fuel comes in all forms.
and I'll pass it over to Regina, but I will say about being a classroom teacher, I've said for decades now that once a person has been in that field and working with kids for many, many years, you really have the opportunity to experience all types of behavior, all types of personalities, yes, and pretty much you can do anything that involves moving people to action.
It's true. You become a problem solver.
A problem, yeah.
If you're not, you learn how to become a problem solver.
You have to be a problem solver, yeah. So that pretty much has been kind of the basis for moving from education into entrepreneurship, into the political arena, elected office, and an activist type leader at this point. So. Yeah.
So when did you become mayor of Auburn?
I became mayor after serving 4 years on city council and mayor in Auburn. I was on city council for 4 years, and then in January 1st, 2000, I took the position of mayor in Auburn. And I say I'm very, very, very grateful for having had that experience. But I also say it's very sad for me to say that to this day, I'm the only woman ever in the almost 200-year history of Auburn to be nominated for an elected mayor of the city. So there's a lot more work to do for women to have their rightful place in elected office.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a lot. Your turn.
That's all right.
Your turn.
I guess what was the question?
So about your career
I always loved kids. I always, I started babysitting at a young age. I worked at the neighborhood house when I was in high school. And then when she ran for mayor, actually, I got involved in, politics and political strategy, and I loved it. So when I went to college, I went to be a poli-sci major. And, I liked it, but I didn't love it like I thought I would. So I went back to what I love, which is kids. I've always loved kids. So I've been working in early childhood ever since.
Since you were an early child.
Right. I went to college. There was a brief break, and then for poli-sci, and then I went back to that. But I've always worked with kids, young kids.
Excuse me, but when she was 4 years old in preschool, she was the teacher's helper with 3-year-olds.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah, I went to Montessori and Gilda Brower.
Mm-hmm.
It was just a wonderful way to grow up. But every day is different, and they are just so pure and kind and warm and unconditional love.
Everything's exciting,
right? So it's just it's a wonderful thing to be a part of. There's challenging days, but there's every day I leave work feeling joy of some kind of reward of something that, whether it's, the aha moment that they get when they realize that, oh, this letter's in my name, or, when you see a child pick another child up that fell and they're like, thank you. And, it's just that kindness that they have. It's just wonderful to be around. And the energy, they never run out of energy. So, yeah, so it's a wonderful place to be.
Perfect. So you have always lived in Auburn,
mm-hmm.
both of you?
Mm-hmm.
Or did you move to Auburn?
No, I was born in Auburn, yeah.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So what are you most grateful for about Auburn and the Auburn community?
The heritage, and to be more specific, the cultural heritage, and more specifically, the social justice roots that are part of the sacred ground of Central New York and the Finger Lakes, and Auburn as part of that, from the indigenous women all the way through the activist women in the opening of the Equal Rights Heritage Center a couple weeks ago in downtown Auburn. That lineage and that heritage of social justice is really what I'm so grateful for about our town and our community and about Auburn. Now, having said that, it's also the opposite of social justice has been fomented in Central New York as well. So we have early roots of white supremacy in this area as well, and all kinds of other infringements on social justice in all different ways. However, I choose to bring my focus back always to what our roots are and what we can learn and continue to do to have a city and a town that people can turn to and say, this is where I belong and this is where I'm welcome. We have to work on it every day for that to be ultimately true for everyone, but we have the roots and the seeds of that in our city.
How about for you?
For me, I guess, when I was younger and everyone's, in high school and, oh, Auburn's awful, I can't wait to leave. I never felt that way. And, as I got older, I appreciated what Auburn was. It's a small town. Everybody knows each other. But the way that, especially lately, I feel like there's a stronger sense of community. There's a lot going on. There's a lot of people that are working hard to make Auburn a better place for everyone to live. And I see there's just a lot of events and the way that it's affecting kids growing up and the next generation. I think they will get to see a different Auburn than was, 15 years ago. But
Definitely.
When you walk downtown, there's a sense of pride now where before, it was who was walking downtown. So it's nice to be a part of the momentum that's going on, and you can there's just a different feel, I think, and I don't know.
It feels good.
It does. It feels different. So
yeah, there's an energy. So I moved to Auburn in 2005, and I was transferred here with a company that I worked for. And I remember people at work saying, "Oh, don't live in Auburn. Live in Skaneateles." And I'm like, "No, I want to live here." And I love Auburn, but it's changed a lot since 2005. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
And my kids love it, and it's their city. They pick up litter when they see it. Like, they want to make it a better place, just like lots of other people are working on it. It's so good.
Absolutely.
So I'm glad that you're a part of Auburn.
Thank you. And I'm glad that you're a part of Auburn. I always love to, especially when I was in government, love to meet people who chose to live in our city or relocated and really loved it, like your sentiments. And I want to say to you, I've gotten to know you over the last few years, and you are one of the shining stars of our community because you bring so much light around yourself and the people that you meet. So I'm very, very grateful. I'm also thrilled to have this opportunity because those people who know me, like, I use the word grateful like maybe 1,000 times a day because that's really what I feel. But I've never had the opportunity to have this type of conversation.
That's beautiful.
Specifically about gratitude.
Good.
So,
well, we just have a couple of minutes. So the last question I have for you is, could you share something, a memory that you have together, something you've done together that is just fabulous and you will never forget because it was just an amazing time together?
Oh, wow. We like to travel, so I feel like you get the opportunity more than I do, but those moments when we've been able to travel with our whole family. So, we went to Italy as a group a couple times over the last several years, and we still talk about it every Sunday dinner like it just happened. But then, just kind of being together. And Italy is not a bad place to do that.
No, it's good to go outside of your community too, because your experiences are different, and your conversations can be different too. And the cheese is really good.
And
wine, right?
Everything tastes
really
good, and it's true.
Italy's on my list.
Yeah.
So anything else you want to share before we wrap up about gratitude? Do you want to?
Well, one more thing that I want to say to you is, as my daughter, we've grown up together over the last 35 years, but Regina has also brought her family into our family, and so I'm very grateful to have Gary and the kids with us too.
Oh, me too.
So, tell me about your kids.
I have 3 stepchildren with my husband, but they're just wonderful people. My son is in high school and getting big, and
16.
It happens really fast. But he'll still climb in my lap, or so it's those moments, I guess, that I'm grateful for too. But.
Awesome. Mm-hmm. Well, thank you both for coming on the show.
Thank you.
Yeah,
and I hope you have a beautiful December.
Thank you.
We're gonna have a new year. And you should all come and join us at Women March. Melina is the lead organizer, and I'm grateful to be on that planning committee. But we will be here in Seneca Falls again on January 19th, and we had 15,000 last year, so I'm thinking maybe 25,000.
Please,
there's a spot for you, so please join us. So that does bring us to the end of our time today. So thank you for tuning in, and especially this month as we get to the end of 2018. Take the time to reflect on what you're grateful for, and take the chance to tell somebody what you're grateful for in them. It makes a difference. Be well.